Hey, we are live, Nova. Hey, you guys, Lisa Alexander, founder and executive director of Stand Up Survivor. Happy Tuesday night. I am with our beautiful guest, Nova, all the way from Brisbane, Australia. So, Nova, before I introduce you, let me just go and take care of a little housekeeping so I can make sure, give people a chance to pop on and join us real quick. We have an amazing cohort joining us. Can you hear me? You're frozen. Are you frozen? Okay, there you are. From Jamaica, a whole master's level cohort that's joining us to get some hours in. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm excited to have them join us today. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So hey from Arkansas, hey from Nevada. Let us know where you're popping in from. We're excited to have you. Let everyone know, hey Dawn, that we are going to be talking to Nova from Australia today about narcissistic abuse, and you do not want to miss this conversation. You look so pretty over there, Nova. All right.
Thank you. It's lovely to meet you, Lisa, and it's fantastic to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
You've got a great accent.
Oh, that's so funny. So do you. You guys hear her accent, right? Hey from MCI. Hey from Nova Scotia. All right, so we have Miss Nova Gibson joining us today from Brisbane, Australia. She is the CEO of Brighter Outlook Counseling Narcissistic Abuse Counseling Center in Australia. Right. She is an expert, you guys, and I'm super excited to have her share with you. Hey, Nova.
Hey, Lisa. Great to be here.
Yay, I'm glad to have you. Hey, Karen, good to see you, hon. I'm glad you're on here. All right, so today we are talking about the aftermath of narcissistic abuse. And you guys let us know if we sound like echoey or choppy or if we're freezing. I know y'all let us know what's up, so don't hold back. Let me know because we don't want to put all our heart into this and you guys can't even hear us. So, all right. I know, right? So I'm excited to have Nova. I've watched Nova for a long time, and she does lives every week where she is giving great content on narcissistic abuse and answering your questions live. So you definitely want to follow her when we're all said and done with this. So Nova, we are talking about narcissistic abuse and how do I heal from it. So before you tell us how to heal from it, what is narcissistic abuse? I got to start with that because it's like this word that's everywhere now.
Okay, yeah, it's a bit of it seems like it's getting to be a bit more, I guess, recognizable out in society today, but still, even though it's more recognizable, there's just not enough awareness about it in the general community, and especially in my community as a professional, and I think a professional counsellor. I think that's a huge problem in society, is that people are just not getting the help they needed because it is a very, very specific type of abuse. Okay, so what is narcissistic abuse? Narcissistic abuse is the psychological and emotional torment, invalidation, and I guess destruction and dismantling of someone's life on a very, very often covert level. Okay, wow. So the very nature of narcissistic abuse is that it's insidious. It's not even, I guess, out there to the person who's being abused. So if you don't know you're being abused and that this is actually abuse, how can you seek support? How can you seek help for that? And certainly, how can you explain it to someone else, and especially to a professional, without having your trauma invalidated and minimized?
Yeah, it's so interesting. You said a few words. So of course, I said, I'm going to be like, wait a minute. You said it's the torment and destruction of someone. And those are really, really heavy words. But you topped it off with the word covert, right? Yes. So let's just talk about that part real quick, because this is not something that's super obvious that you can explain, like they said, to lawyers and judges in court, and it makes sense.
No. Okay. Okay, so where does the word covert come from? The word covert comes because these people do not have a sign on their forehead. They're not out there. They're not, their abuse is not something that is really visible and easy to pick. Okay, so it would be different, if I guess the victim had, black eyes or broken ribs, or, if it was physical abuse, not that that's any better, any worse. but that's visible. That's something that they can see. But the nature of narcissistic abuse is that it's covert. It goes under the radar, and these abusers, I believe, are mostly covert, in that probably 90% of narcissists out there are covert. And there's this misconception in the community that narcissists are that, person that's out there taking selfies and they're loud and they're arrogant. Not that they're not like that. Often they can be like that. But for the most part, narcissistic abuse is very insidious, and it's only the intimate partner or those that are very, very close to the narcissist that see that, I guess, the person who is behind that false mask. And the false mask, I guess, is what covers the true self, which is a reflection of who and what they are so ashamed of.
That is so powerful, because the way you described it, no one would ever know except for the people, like you said, that's closest to them. So if I'm experiencing narcissistic abuse and I try to explain it to you, you'd probably look at me like, John, he's amazing.
Yeah, well, I guess a gaslighting, that's another word that's starting to become a little bit more popular, and you're starting to see it in, the newspapers, on social media, and it's becoming a little bit of a buzzword, you could say, but it's a very, very destructive behavior, that a phenomenon that the narcissist, every single narcissist, engages in. And gaslighting, which is when the narcissist intentionally tries to distort your reality, makes you think that you're not hearing what you're hearing, you're not seeing what you're seeing. They may shift things around on you, or they may just say things to you like, you're so oversensitive, you're always wanting to start an argument, all this in the face of, blatant abuse that you've tried to get some accountability from them on, and they're, calling you oversensitive. So what does this do? It distorts your reality. And you know what? And this is where the covert, the covert nature of the abuse comes in, because the more and more you are gaslighted and those little neural pathways in your brain start to change, eventually you start to not trust your own gut instinct and your own intuition, and you start to think, maybe they're right. Maybe I didn't see what I thought I saw. Maybe I didn't hear what I thought I heard. And you have this often enough, and you really believe that, or start to believe that the problem lies with you.
So I'm going to go back really quick. I'm going to go back real quick, though.
Okay, sorry, Lisa.
Okay, it's okay. I'm going to go back real quick, because you talked a little bit about something really important, which is the gaslighting. I left my keys by the front door. No, you didn't. You didn't even have your keys there. And then all of a sudden you're second guessing, or they're moving things around in the house, or they're telling you didn't do something when you know you did. And like you said, slowly the brain starts, maybe it's like you start to question yourself. You start to question your own sanity, and recognizing that these are intentional tactics that they use. And so slowly but surely, you stop trusting yourself completely. They must be right.
Absolutely. And our intuition, our gut instinct is our guiding light. Now, you lose that, and you're in all sorts of problems. And you're at the mercy of someone who is very covertly trying to manage your boundaries down. And this doesn't happen overnight. And where you were, I guess, you wouldn't have put up with a certain behavior at the start of the relationship. You wouldn't have put up with certain behaviors in a million years. Over time, as they gradually and insidiously wear your boundaries down, you find yourself in these positions where you're accepting atrocious, abusive behavior from them, and you are starting to question yourself, whereas you never would have in the beginning. And this is where it's so covert. It's like an analogy I like to use in narcissistic abuse recovery is the one of the frog jumping in the pot of water. I don't know if many of your followers have heard of this analogy. The water's nice and tepid, and the frog's having an amazing time swimming around in the water, and all of a sudden someone comes up and just very, very gradually turns up the heat on that water. And the frog doesn't notice it, and it's turned up so gradually that before the frog knows it, it's boiling to death and it can't escape. This is This is so, I guess, reflective of narcissistic abuse.
That's a great example that you just gave. Let me ask you a question.
It happens without you knowing it.
Yeah. Would you say that survivors lose their gut instinct during narcissistic abuse? Would you say, because you talked about it being our guiding light, and when you lose it, you start to kind of lose yourself. So would you say that that's lost in that process?
When they lose your gut instinct. Your ability to trust it. Absolutely. When you're continually having blame shifted onto you. Now, another acronym that we use in narcissistic abuse recovery is that of DARVO, and it's what every narcissist engages in. DARVO: deny, accuse, reverse, victim, and offender. Okay, deny, accuse, reverse, victim, and offender. Now, if you're having the script flipped onto you, when the narcissist projects themselves onto you, and every narcissist does that, they blame shift and accuse you of doing exactly what they're doing. Now, if this happens often enough, and don't forget, the narcissist is doing this often under the guise of caring, or, they're so adamant and righteous that they're right, and they've worn your self-worth and your self-esteem down, and they're very adamant about what they're saying. You start to believe them, and you start to believe that you are the problem and that you were wrong. So yes, do you lose your ability and capacity to trust your gut instinct? Absolutely. And this just doesn't switch off. You're asking about, how do I heal after narcissistic abuse? Well, building those boundaries up and learning and practicing trusting your gut instinct again, that's going to be a journey, because you've been conditioned not to trust it.
Right. And so I just want to say real quick, before we go into like, what do I do now part, I just want to take a moment. Let's take a moment and like validate the feelings. Like, if you are ever going through this and you're like, no one's listening to me, I know what I've been through, no one's believing what I'm saying, I know they're gaslighting me, I know that they're abusing me, I know they're a narcissist, but no one's believing me because I can't prove it. I don't have the broken arm, the black eye. We're just going to tell you that it happened to you, and we believe you, and we're validating your experience right now in this very moment. So we just want to take a second, right, Nova, and do that for them.
Absolutely, guys. I believe you. And you know what? This is one thing I say to all of my clients, okay? And this is what I do. I talk to victims and survivors every day in my practice. And the one thing I say to them is, when they say things like, am I the narcissist? I started acting a bit kind of crazy and erratic sometimes. And maybe they're not a narcissist, Nova. And maybe I should go back to them and give them the benefit of the doubt. What I say to that is, narcissists don't get diagnosed. I don't diagnose. This is why the numbers are so, and the stats are so skewed. What narcissist goes to therapy and says, hey, you know what?
Am I a narcissist?
I want help for my narcissism, because I know I've been, gaslighting people and projecting them, and I know that I'm a despicable person. No narcissist goes to counselling unless they want to manipulate the counsellor and re-traumatize their victim. That is their only goal, is to secure narcissistic supply. So I want to say,
powerful.
You guys are the ones that diagnose them, and you have faith in the research that you've done, and you all know that you've been reading, or someone said that word narcissist to you, and you've started researching and watching YouTube videos, and then you've just had this aha moment, this light bulb moment, and you've gone, oh my goodness, it wasn't me. I've been with a narcissist. Okay. Diagnosing.
I love that. Let's just sit in this moment for a second. And we're going to acknowledge for you that you are not I understand you may have reacted, you may have reactive abuse or whatever, but you are not the narcissist. You are with one. And so even if no one else validates it for you in this moment, we are going to.
We are validating.
We are validating it for you. Yes. So one of the questions before we go into the healing part of it, I want to talk about, someone asked about narcissistic abuse and the court system. How do lawyers aren't trained in this, the judges aren't trained in this. How do you even begin to handle this there?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. What a minefield family court is when dealing with a narcissist. The problem is, guys, that, and Lisa, that the system's flawed. And there's no way of saying that any differently. Let's call it for what it is. It is absolutely flawed. How do we fix that? We need more education. I believe that mediators, lawyers, barristers, I don't know what you call them in the States, barristers, attorneys, social workers, anyone who has anything to do with a family and allocating, percentage of care and property pools, anything to do with that, I believe they should all have some kind of training, education in personality disorders, because we all know that the narcissist is going to use that family court as a platform to extend the domestic violence. They have an audience. They've got you. Yeah. Probably sitting there being questioned by them or their lawyer, and you are going to be acting like a true victim.
Yes.
And how does a true victim act? A true victim is frustrated, they're frazzled, they're distressed, they're upset. Why? Because they've been abused. Right. The narcissist is going to be sitting there cool and calm and collected,
all the time,
waiting for you to act all irrational so that they can go, see, Your Honor, I told you need to give me the kids. She or he's just, Fruit Loop. There's a professional term for you. So how do we work with a system that's flawed? Okay, we have to do what we can. Number one, we get a lawyer or an attorney who is switched on, who is very switched on to narcissistic abuse and working with sociopaths and narcissists. That's the first thing. And the second thing is we once we know that they're a narcissist, we kind of hold all the cards, because we can preempt what they want and how they're going to antagonize us and bait us and what reactions they're desiring from us. So in that sense, it is the most horrific thing I know as a parent to go into court and hear blatant lies, an affidavit absolutely chock-a-block full of lies, and most of it will be, you're a bad parent, you're a bad parent, you're a bad parent, you're crazy, you're bipolar, you're an alcoholic. I've heard it all, some derogatory, all of these derogatory terms. And I guess the best thing that I can say to do it is to prepare yourself. You will hear blatant lies about yourself.
That's good. That's good.
Don't react. Let your lawyer do all the talking and question, your ex about their qualifications to diagnose you, whatever your lawyer's going to do, but let them do the talking for you and don't react, because that's what your ex wants. That's want
what they're waiting for.
Going crazy, and that's what they want. They want to extend the domestic violence through
as long as they can. That's really good. That's really powerful. The comments are saying yes, spot on, 100%. It's so true, because as victims of abuse, we're emotional, we're enraged, and they come to court and they're sitting down and they're looking all poised and sophisticated.
And that should be evident. And this is where the paradox exists, because you have to. In a lot of the times you have to prove injury. You have to prove psychological injury by your abuser. But then if you do prove psychological injury, they use that against you to say that you're an unfit parent.
Correct. You have a mental health illness. There's something wrong with you. You're bipolar. Look how she's crazy. See what I was talking about? It's used against you.
And this is where the system needs so much this needs to be so much research and education, because this is what the narcissist does. You should not be punished because you now have issues because of their abuse.
As a result. Correct. And I always say to survivors that I work with, I know you may feel some type of way going in that courthouse or going to meet them for the children. You may be emotional. You may want to say something, but you keep yourself together in that moment. You do not give them the power to make you go crazy or lose it or be able. Now, when you get back in the car or you want to call your therapist or your friend or your mother, do that. But in front of them, you do not give them that. Exactly. You don't give them that power in that moment. They've taken enough from you.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
the thing
important.
is, it's more than just power. It's because you're in that flawed system where they'll be writing notes and videoing and basically proving the narcissist right. So yeah, Lisa's absolutely 100% correct. Don't give them anything, and always remember that what does the narcissist do when they fail to get a reaction from you? And you just don't take the bait. What do?
Oh,
They
yeah.
start to get
They
frustrated
get
and
upset.
they start to up the ante, trying to draw a reaction out of you. How beautiful is that when you are not reacting in the court and the narcissist starts to ramp it up and
You're sitting
prove
there and
who
prove
they
exactly what
really
you're saying.
are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You keep your power. You've officially taken your power back. Exactly, Skippy. They begin to unravel. Someone asked in the comments, and it went really fast. I couldn't see it, but do you suggest in court looking them in the eye or just totally disregarding them?
No. Definitely not. And I know why you asked that question, because and I get it. You want to look at them and you want to show them, you know what, you didn't win. You didn't beat me down. You ain't got nothing. And here I am, I'm healing and I'm a survivor. You didn't win. And I get that. You want to look them in the eye. But it's what they want. They want you to look them in the eye because there's a lot of power in when eyes meet eyes. And what you've got to remember is that our intelligence all put together will never be as great as the narcissist's ability to manipulate. They've got
Whoa, that was good. That was good.
Yeah. And just, and if you're looking them in the eye and they just get that smirk out or whatever it is, that narcissistic reptilian stare back at you, believe me, it won't feel as good as you think. And you also inadvertently reward them. It's what they want. They want you to look at them. Yeah.
That's good. That's really good. I really hope, I know that answered your question for sure. That was really, really good advice. It was really interesting when you said the intelligence together will still not surpass their ability to manipulate.
You've got to remember you're dealing with someone who doesn't have a conscience. They're devoid of a conscience and empathy. You and I could never stoop to the lows that they could. And we forget when we haven't been abused in a while, we forget just how much they were able to get inside our heads. And this is why no contact is so important. And looking at them, that's contact.
It's contact. Absolutely. Yeah. That's good. I love it. I love it. That's a great transition for us to go into the aftermath of the narcissistic abuse. I'm leaving. I'm preparing to leave. I'm out. Someone said, I've been in it for years, still dealing with them. Let's talk about getting out of a narcissistic abusive relationship,
Okay. Well, first of all, you need to be safe. Safety is paramount. And look, it really, I guess the situation depends whether you've got kids. I always say if you're still in the home with them and you've got kids and property and you think you're safe, then you get a lawyer yesterday. It's the last thing you feel like doing when you're so emotionally drained. But believe me, the narcissist will be getting all of their ducks in a row and they don't feel drained. They're just like, oh, okay, out with the old.
They get their energy from this. Yep.
Absolutely. So I know how drained you are, but please find the energy to get a lawyer immediately before you do anything, but only if you're safe. If you're not safe, you go to the police, you go to a, I don't know what you call them, like a halfway house, just somewhere where you're safe. If you're already away and you are still struggling, perhaps you're thinking about them all the time, you're ruminating about your abuser and you're kicking yourself because you know how toxic this person is, but you miss them and it's debilitating. The feelings that you have when you're not with them and you've blocked them and you've you're trying to go non-contact, but you're going crazy because it feels so bad. What I want you to do is get lots and lots of support, because, guys, this is trauma bonding, and it is so normal. Okay, I know there's often issues of codependency there when we find ourselves I guess needing to be in a relationship. But codependency, let's look at the word. It means to be dependent on someone else for our self-worth, for our validation. We look externally for our validation. So I struggle when using the word codependent as it pertains to narcissistic abuse, because narcissistic abuse to me is all about trauma bonding and the absolute addiction. We become psychologically as well as physically addicted through the narcissist push and pull. I want you, I don't want you, I want you, I don't want you. This is addictive, and our boundaries at the same time have managed down so far, and we've been conditioned to become dependent on them. We've become isolated from all our support networks. We've been made to think that that's our choosing, but really it's a big setup. And where we're actually addicted, like a drug addiction. Okay, it's basically the same chemical processes that take place. So when you're without a drug that you're trying to withdraw from, what happens? You go through
withdrawal, and it's hard.
And the pain of withdrawal can be absolutely horrendous. And what is someone in withdrawal? Let's just use heroin. What is someone in withdrawal from heroin? Think about 24 hours a day. Heroin. Okay. That's all they can fantasize about, is because they want relief from the terrible addiction pains, the withdrawal symptoms. And what do they have? They have cravings, they know how destructive that drug is in their life, but they just want relief from the withdrawal symptoms. This is the same as trauma bonding. But because we don't know about trauma bonding, we think we're in love. It must be love because I feel so bad when I'm not with them. And how bad am I if I love someone who treats me like dirt and gets rid of me every second day? How low and how terrible a person am I that I allow myself to do that? And we experience all this shame, not knowing that this is actually an actual. We should be supported to break the addiction.
Yes. Yeah, because you know what? If someone's going through withdrawal from drugs or alcohol, you don't just disregard them. Someone is journeying with them through that healing process, because it's an addiction, and they're literally having physical reactions, emotional reactions to it. And I promise you, it is the same way when you are trauma bonded to someone else. Well, you know what? Maybe it wasn't that bad. We start second guessing ourselves. Maybe it wasn't that bad. Or I know what it's like with this person, so let me just go back to them, whether they're abuser or not.
It's been a while. It's been a while since you've been abused, and the memory starts to fade.
That's it. It starts to fade.
And you want relief from the cravings. You're dying for a hit. You go
any type of attention, Nova, any type of attention, whether positive or negative, we want that attention from them. But I think you made a really good point about ruminating over something. Ruminating is to go over and over and over something, and that's what we're doing. What are they doing? Where are they going? We're checking them out on social media. We're driving by their house, going to their job, checking we're making ourselves crazy.
And why we do, and the feelings that you go through when you're doing that, and it's destructive. You consciously, logically know that, but you engage in it anyway. There's your evidence that this is an addiction, and addiction is not rational. Okay, it is not a rational thing that we do, and that needing to look at them on social media, drive past their house, just pick up the phone just to hear their voice, unblock them just to hear the message.
Right. Or listen to a message they left you. Or so I remember for myself, he would cuss me out like bad, like tell me about myself. And I would read the text messages over and over. I was away, but because that felt normal to me. It hurt. It was painful, but it still felt normal. So I literally had to detox, literally had to stop reading them, delete them, not go back to them.
Absolutely. And that can be a hard thing to block them once and for good, and to give yourself closure. It's incredible. It's going to be one of the most difficult things that you do. But at the same time, you need to get lots of support to break and change those neural pathways, I guess, which allow you, well, not allow you, but have you thinking that this is going to make you feel better. This, going back to them for a second or 5 minutes or, for a few days is going to make you feel better. Like any addiction, you imagine things I don't know how many of you have had experiences with your own addictions, or perhaps you've seen movies, but just picture that drug addict that's tried so hard and for so long to stay away, and they know how destructive that drug is, but they've gone back because the withdrawal's been so bad. They put the needle in their arm, and then what do? They lay there and they go, that's it. And all of that for just a few seconds reprieve from the withdrawal pain, because they know that this cycle is going to start up over and over again. And you're going to get a second of reprieve when you see them on Facebook, and then it's going to start up all over again. But
because they're going to discard you. They're going to discard you. They're not going to treat you right. They're going to do the same thing that got you in that situation in the first place, that made you leave in the first place. They're going to do it.
It's worth it with the irrational thinking that any, I guess, trauma-bonded person has, or, addicted person has. With that irrational thinking, it's worth it just to have that few seconds, because the withdrawal pain is so bad. So this is where we need lots of support.
But I'm here to tell you, it's not worth it. I know it may feel like it in the moment, but you're going to regret that very moment, because you're going to see that they're the same person. They haven't changed, and then you've really just allowed yourself to get hurt all over again. So you have to start all over again in the detox process.
Yeah. And the other thing I want everyone to not do is to beat yourself up, because it's normal. It's normal to, have a few or quite a few attempts to break this addiction, because you don't know how, you don't know what's going on. And, your everything's low. Your self-esteem, your self-worth is so low, and you feel rock bottom. So it's really normal to do this. So if you've gone back, if you've stalked them on social media or driven past their work, whatever it is, don't beat yourself up, because that's what the narcissist did to you. Don't extend their abuse. You deserve more, and you deserve understanding around why you did it.
Yeah. So let's talk about, that was really good. Let's talk about, well, actually 2 questions came in before we talk about what that support system looks like. But what about, so I know one thing that comes up all the time, well, they're dating someone new and I should warn her. I should warn him so they know what they're getting themselves into. Or I've tried to tell her, but she wouldn't listen.
Yeah, no. Guys, I know. The very reason the narcissist chose you is why you want to do that. It's because you're an empath. And you don't want any other person to go through exactly what you've gone through. But unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that is going to be their journey, and you can't help them. The reason why, go back to when you were being, and we haven't really talked about this too much, but go back to the beginning of the relationship with the narcissist, when you were being love bombed. You thought you'd met your soulmate. You were on this pink cloud and you were being wooed, and you just thought, oh my goodness, all my Christmases have come at once. I've got the secret ingredient to, what is it? that Patty mix in SpongeBob here. He is, or she is just amazing. And, he is just the ant pants, or she's just the ant pants.
Of course.
You go back to how amazing you felt. And if someone came along that your amazing soulmate had already warned you that they're crazy, they can't get over me,
yeah,
they're jealous, they're insecure, they're bipolar, they've got a screw loose, whatever they want to say about you, and they warned you that you were going to come up and warn them, what do you think you would do? Yeah. You would go, oh my goodness.
Yeah, he told me about you. Yeah, he told me you were crazy.
I already know about you. Go away. You're not having him or her back. This is my person. Go away and get some help.
Yeah.
And all you will do is re-traumatize yourself, and you will cement their relationship.
Yeah.
The reason you cement their relationship is because they now have something in common. The narcissist will triangulate the pair of you.
Yes.
So if he talks about you to his current source, and he talks about the current source to the current source about you. So he's got all of this narcissistic supply going on, and he's at the top of the triangle. He will make her feel insecure. Look, I'm just going to use he because it's easier, but we know it's not gender specific.
We do.
He will make her feel insecure about you. And then when he gets a bit fed up with her and wants to make her jealous, he will start talking nicely about you, the very person he told her that you were crazy.
Yeah, well, she used to do this, or she would do that, stuff like that.
They will not believe you. He's already preempted what you're going to say, and you will go there and simply prove him right.
And they become their flying monkey. They start, now the new girlfriend doesn't like you. She now works again with him, so he has a partner.
And the other thing is you're doing exactly what he wants.
Yes.
He has set it up so you will go and contact her, because he will just love that. The pair of you, fighting and trying to warn each other. All this does is makes him look like this wanted commodity.
Right.
That, everyone wants.
Yeah. Someone said in the comments, you can't save everyone. It has to be an opportunity where they're going to have to learn. And that's the whole point of the education part, Nova, because the goal is for us as educators in this topic is that people know, so that if they see the warning signs, they're able to say, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. That's our goal. But of course, everyone will hear it before they end up in the relationship. But I had a couple of questions. So what do you do if you have a family member who is not like a brother-in-law, a father, or someone who is a narcissist?
Okay, that's a really good question. And it can be often, or well, not often, always really, really difficult to come to terms with the fact that the strategies are no different in grey rock, minimal contact, or no contact. No one has the right to abuse you.
Period.
Period. Whether they are your parent or a co-worker, or often it's we need our pay packet, and we have to develop strategies to manage a narcissistic boss, but that's a different story. But I guess let's talk about family. The same strategies apply. No one has the right to abuse you. Just because they share DNA with you does not give them the right to abuse you. And a narcissistic family member is no different to an intimate partner with regards to they are not going to change, and they are going, if they're targeting you, they are going to continue to do that. And you either, if you have to see them, and this is another thing that people really struggle with, I can't go no contact with them. They're my mother. They're my father. Well, yes. I'm here to tell you that, yes, you can. You do not have to have a person who has abused you your entire life simply because they birthed you. That is not something
Powerful.
that you are
That's
obliged to
powerful.
do. And if community members or other family members make you feel guilty for going no contact with a narcissistic parent or family member, that's because they're naive / ignorant and have not walked in your shoes, and or they're a flying monkey themselves and they're very toxic themselves. But you know what? You do not have to remain contact with that person out of guilt or shame, but you certainly will have that inflicted upon you. There's an acronym that we use, which is an ACON, Adult Children of Narcissists. And I believe adult children of narcissists suffer the worst because you've been conditioned since you left the womb to meet the narcissist's needs. And when you get to adulthood, that fear, obligation, and guilt, the fog that you find yourself in, they're ingrained. And if you don't meet that parent's needs, or if you want to venture off on your own, become an individual, or, you know, be independent of them, or just do something that doesn't sit well with them, you will have the wrath of them upon you, because it's a sign of disrespect. So the only way to stop being manipulated by them is to go no contact. Minimal contact, grey rock.
That was really good. And like you said, it's similar to being in a relationship with a narcissist. No one gets to abuse you. That was really good. Someone asked, okay, so 2 questions that came in. So what about when the abuser is using the kids as a way to further abuse the victim?
Yeah, it's what they do. Unfortunately, they're going to continue to do it if we allow them free rein to be able to do that. You're never going to be able to know exactly what goes on in that house. Now, short of overt child abuse, you don't want to know it. With respect to they are never going to be co-parenting with you. They are going to counter-parent everything you do. Now, if you are trying to get on top of, well, they need to be at bed at 7:30 because that's what time they're in bed over here, and, you know, try and say, well, they can't go to that person's place, you know, short of orders that are very, very strict, you're going to keep yourself stuck, and you're giving them the capacity to gaslight you and abuse you and frustrate you, because you will be trying to co-parent, they will be trying to actively counter-parent. So you have to learn how to do something which we call parallel parenting. And you can parallel parent, which is you do what you do on your weeks, the narcissist does what they do on their weeks. Everything that may overlap, you get put in an order, and all contact via email, where there is no capacity for them to gaslight you and look in your eyes. If you're having face-to-face contact with them at pickups and drop-offs, that the narcissist only wants that to intimidate you and to extend the abuse. You get those orders changed so that a third party does it, or a pickup center, all contact by email. If the narcissist is only after instructions about the kids, why would they care?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Why
Email
would
shouldn't
they
bother them at all.
They will care, because they will be losing their control over you. So you take your contact with the narcissist down to the absolute bare minimum. Will they go crazy and up the ante trying to get a reaction from you and trying to get you to re-engage? Absolutely, because they see you moving away and taking your power back, and they will not like losing control. As far as having discussions with them around, you know, what's best for the kids, you really have to think about that, another way of getting your needs met for the children. And an example I always use is, well, you couldn't have a discussion with them when you were together around what's best for the kids, because they would engage in word salad and, you know, go to a million words per hour trying to get you to apologize for some minor indiscretion you did 10 years ago, and then you forget what the discussion was supposed to be in the beginning. Or they will just just tell you where to go. Like, imagine you go up to the narcissist and say, look, little Johnny really, really needs braces. I really need you to, contribute, and, let's go halves in this because it's what's best for little Johnny. The narcissist will, I'll say something along the lines of, looking at little Johnny's teeth. His teeth are fine. You want braces for him? You go and get braces. And by the way, you owe me $50 in child support, or whatever they say, and you will come out of there fuming because you cannot just have a discussion with the narcissist. Right. So this is where you need orders, where the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. No face-to-face contact, no all contact via email. Basically taking your power back.
That's good. I love that.
Scary to start with.
Yeah. And hard to do because you're used to that kind of communication. But you made a good point. If you couldn't make decisions or have conversations during the relationship, much less is going to happen when you're out of it, and you're finding your power.
Yeah. And you think, I don't think it's that you logically think, you just kind of go into that mode. Oh, well, we're separated. We need to talk about what's going to happen with little Johnny's braces. But what you're assuming is that the narcissist has changed.
Yeah.
The narcissist has not changed. In fact, they will be even more manipulative because you've taken their property. You've taken the children, you've left them, which means you have inflicted the most egregious narcissistic injury upon them if you've left them. So they will be wanting to punish you. So if you couldn't have a discussion with them before, there is no way you're going to be able to have one now.
Yeah, that's good. I love you said if that's happening, they have free reign over you and your time and your emotions. Don't give it to them. Do not give them free reign. Those days are over. You're taking your power back. You're taking your time back. You're taking your emotional control back. They don't get to do that anymore. So
I had an important point I just wanted to say quickly, Lisa, was the children talking with the narcissistic parent. And this can be one, often when we're dealing with a narcissist, it can go against every moral fiber in our body because it's not how we want to be treated. And we don't like treating people that way, but you've got to remember you're dealing with a disordered person who wants to manipulate you and bring you down. So this was something I had to deal with a lovely client the other day, and she wanted to give her 10-year-old or 9-year-old son a phone to use, so because the father wanted to contact him at any time. And I said, you really need to think about that because the narcissist is not interested in having contact with the children and maintaining that really awesome connection. What they're interested in is disrupting your life. So you cannot have dinner in peace. They'll call when the child's going to bed or when an important assignment's due, or the drill. It will never be about maintaining a wonderful connection with that child. But this is something, to really think about, work it out so it suits your routines, because you're the parent. You have to give stability to this child. And if you're struggling, that's going to trickle down to the children. So allocate times when it's a good time for your routine, when they can talk to the other parent. And, we're not talking about emergencies here. We're talking about, and I hear it all the time, where that parent will ring when you're away on a weekend, just to ruin your holiday or ruin your day. And they do.
Yeah, I love that. Make it convenient for your schedule. For so long, everything has been about them working on their schedule. It's time for you to shift it and put it in your favor now because you have control. So I wanted to touch on something because we're doing so good with you guys, giving you guys such good content, answering your questions. But I wanted to touch on the healing part, right? How do I heal after I've left a narcissist abusive relationship? How do I heal?
Okay.
I don't even know who I am, Nova. I don't even know who I am at this point. So how do I heal?
You've been systematically erased. But when you're in this relationship, who am I? That's a normal question to ask. So you need lots and lots of support. You need validation for your trauma from someone who gets it. There is nothing like those two words, me too. I get it. I understand what you've been through, and I can support you. Join a support group like yours. You have an amazing platform here, where victims and survivors can talk to each other, and they know that it's not their fault. But validation from your experience and therapy, working through it with a very, very experienced therapist in narcissistic abuse. And you know what? Journaling about what happened to you. This was not your fault. And there's going to be triggers. There's going to be symptoms, most probably, of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and you're going to have triggers, and you are going to need to work through that triggers. But you have to commit to that healing process. The narcissist left a big void behind. It doesn't matter that they were toxic. There's still a void there, and you need to fill that void. And how do you fill that void? You need to give yourself closure, and all those things that I've mentioned are going to help to give you closure. The narcissist doesn't want you to have closure because they want to always be inside your head.
Yes.
So you have to give yourself closure. And all of those things that I suggested, support, journaling, which will all give you validation for your trauma, therapy, are going to help you. Talking about it.
And getting with someone, I love how you talk about getting with someone who has narc experience. It's great. Someone who's trauma informed, someone who understands the details that a narcissistic is, understands the narcissistic up and down, because otherwise they don't understand the ways and tactics that they use.
That we kind of started in that area, Lisa, at the beginning. When I think I went on a bit of a tangent. I was talking about gaslighting, but what I wanted to lead to was the fact that you try and explain gaslighting, or you try and explain the smear campaign, which every narcissist engages in. You try and explain that to someone who you're trying to explain how terribly abusive this relationship was and what you've endured. That person's going to say, okay, so they called you names, they told you your keys were in a different spot, and now they're telling everyone you're crazy. Maybe you should just kind of move on and get over it. It sounds trivial as I say it. You cannot explain the cumulative effect of this covert, ongoing, insidious abuse. It's impossible to explain to someone who has not been through it.
You got to find your people. You got to find your group. You've got to find your therapist. You got to find your tribe. Absolutely. So that when you're talking about it, they totally get it. You do not need any further invalidation. You cannot allow yourself, and I always talk about it, protect the space. If you have people who don't believe you, who are thinking you're exaggerating, those aren't your people, especially in the healing season of your life. Those aren't your people.
Yeah.
Someone just gave, sorry, go.
I was just going to say, often it can be loved ones, the people that love us the most, that can, kind of re-victimize and re-traumatize because they hate seeing us in this stuck, in this pain. They just want us to move on. And don't forget, they've seen us go back so many times to our abuser. They kind of throw up their hands, and you can't really blame them because they just don't get it. So often it's talking to our loved ones and them going, just move on. For goodness sake, just move on.
Yeah. And you really don't need to hear that, because that's not helpful at all in any way, shape, or form. And someone earlier talked about how their family members invite their abuser around. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I experienced that myself, and that's fine. I just will not allow myself in that space. I get to control who I'm around. And if I'm uncomfortable and don't want to be around them, that's my choice. You have taken your power back and continue to do so.
Yeah. I struggle with that. I know people don't get it and they don't understand narcissistic abuse, but it just doesn't sit well with me with regard to, regardless of whether they understand the abuse or not, they love you. There's some, they should have unconditional love for you, and you're telling them, this person destroyed my life. I've been through to hell and back because of this person. They tried to take my kids. They rang my boss. They have done everything in their power to destroy me. And you're having him over for dinner?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's hard. It is hard, and it happens so often. And someone just talked about that.
Yeah, I think it's okay to ask the question, you know what, if you're having your abuser over, my abuser over, is this really my friend? Yeah, I think it's okay to ask that question.
Oh, absolutely. Open the door. It's no longer time for you to like not say how you really feel. But if they still insist on having them over, don't go. You know, you don't have to allow yourself to sit at a table where you feel uncomfortable or unsafe. It's really important that you protect your peace. Someone keeps asking in the comments, and I want to make sure that I get to it. Can they change? Can a narcissist change? And do they change with professional help? Can they change with professional help?
My answer to that is always an emphatic no. This is a personality disorder. Okay, and by that we mean a consistent pattern of behaviors over time. This is who they are. This is not a mental health issue. It's not a mental illness. It is their personality. Okay, so you will know that when maybe you've been hoovered back into the relationship, and because they said they would change, and maybe they did for a very, very short period of time, but that changing has got nothing to do with actual sincere change. It had to do with manipulation and pretending just to get you back. Once they knew you were hooked, they could revert back to who they really are. It would be like asking you or me to change our personalities, Lisa. They don't change. And I think a lot of people, especially in the early stages of recovery, ask that question because they want them to change. They want to believe that this relationship was real in some way for their abuser, and that it wasn't based on an illusion of this person that never existed.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow. Yeah, that's hard.
That's painful. Yeah, and we want to believe that, and we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So we think, oh, there's just some way that they're not a narcissist, or maybe they can change. Then that means I can fix them, and maybe there's a hope that they will get back to that illusionary person that they were in the beginning.
Where they loved bomb, so it was never authentic in the first place.
That person never existed.
Never existed. Nope. Wow, that's powerful.
So no, an emphatic no. They will always revert back to their baseline behaviors.
Wow. So that was a no. I just want you guys to know that was a big no.
It's an emphatic no. And could you imagine, guys, number one, a narcissist even going to seek help for their narcissism? To do that, they'd have to admit they had a problem.
Correct. And that doesn't happen. Yeah. They don't admit that they have a problem.
Could you imagine, even if they pretended that they believed that, could you imagine a narcissist sitting in therapy for years and years? And I'm telling you, that's what it would take to have the most minimal little chip or change in their behavior, and it wouldn't be sustained. So just no. Don't go back thinking they're going to change.
Yeah, and that's a painful reality, sitting in the fact that they are not going to change. And I think it's really important because not only is abuse, it's dangerous, but it's deadly. And so you going back after they hover you try to go back and think that they're going to change. You put yourself and your children in further danger. So we want to encourage you. You can't change anyone. That's just a fact. Especially a narcissist abuser, you can't. If the narc has custody of the children, can the child become a narcissist?
A child can become a narcissist whether the narcissist has custody or not. Simply from, I guess, when you were with the narcissist, but certainly there's going to be more capacity for the narcissist to role model those narcissistic behaviors.
Right.
But children grow up with a narcissistic parent and don't become
very true.
narcissists. But certainly I hear all the time that, oh yeah, my narcissistic ex, their parents were narcissistic
I hear that
as
a lot.
well. I hear that all the time. So there's your
Yes.
evidence that it's mostly, as the research says, environmental. And by that I mean the behaviour's role modelled, that the kids are seeing, no empathy. The rules don't apply to me, an air of superiority. So certainly the kids can pick up on these behaviours and become narcissistic themselves,
Wow.
but not always. There's normally a scapegoat child and a golden child, but that's getting into a whole other area. But and I guess if a child's if the narcissist has more capacity to role model those behaviours because they have custody, then those chances are going to be increased. And you've also got the fact that that's their parents. So, there might be that genetic component.
That's tough.
There. So you've got genetic and environmental combined.
Yeah, that's a tough one. All right, so we have kept you for an hour, but I want to ask one more question before we close out.
Sure.
If someone is on the journey, how do they find themselves after narcissistic abuse? I know one of the things for myself, it was just learning to create the reality and the life that I wanted to have, because I was able to start all over again and create it. And it's a reprogramming because, like you said, if the brain changes, the mind changes, you're a different person. So how would you suggest that they start to find themselves again after this?
Okay, finding, well, let's put everything else aside as a given that I talked about before with regards to therapy, support, journaling. Finding your passion.
That's good.
You were told that you weren't allowed to have anything to yourself, any loves or likes of your own. You were told that everything you loved or liked was not important. So we find ourselves isolating from the things and the people that we love, things we used to do and used to fulfill us prior to the abuse. We give those up.
Yes.
So that's what I want you to do. I want you to find your passion in life to help fill that void that the narcissist left behind. I want you to find something that makes you think, oh my goodness, I've only got, 1 or 2 sleeps till I get to go, I don't know, dancing again, or I get to go horse riding or whatever it is that fulfills you. And you know what? A lot of people, when they come to see me, they say, no, I don't even know what that is anymore. I don't even know what I like. And what I say to that is, so you're going to have to make some mistakes. You're going to have to try some different things and go, you know what, I tried that. It was okay, but it wasn't for me. But this, oh my goodness, I never knew that I loved dancing. And now I've found myself a partner and I'm going dancing every night. Find your new life, the life that you love, where you have passion, you have drive. Go and do that university course that you always wanted to do. Go and totally negate all of those negative things that narcissist said to you, and do it with conviction, because you deserve it.
I love
no one else
it.
is going to do it for you.
Okay. Yes. I mean, that's a whole nother topic too. I love that whole, no one's going to do it for you, but let me go back. I love finding your passion. I'm super passionate about life and love and figuring out what you want to do, because the truth is you don't know when you get out, you're completely blank, completely lost. Make a list, write down some things you like to do, figure out what you don't like to do. Right. But I love how you said you're going to make some mistakes. You might kiss some frogs. You might date the wrong people. You may I have 2 left feet. I can't dance. Or I love horseback riding, whatever. But and it's okay to fail. No one's there telling you you're stupid. I told you. Remember, I told you never passed that class. That person is no longer there. And don't let that person be you. Allow yourself.
Don't extend the domestic abuse to yourself. You have one of those negative thoughts come along that just pops into your head out of nowhere. And you're, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. You kick it to the curb.
Throw it out.
You put it back in. And you say, yes, I can.
Yes, you can. Do everything they said you couldn't do. Do it anyway. But I love it. And we're going to end with this too, Nova, though. Because no one's going to do it for you. You have to get up and fight every day for yourself. You have to. No one is coming and say, oh, let me rescue you. Nope. You have to do
Yep.
it yourself.
And you know what? You don't want that, because
that's so
that's what
true.
the narcissist promised in the beginning, and you know that their motivation was totally selfish.
Selfish.
And you know, it's okay for people to come along and want to say, hey, you know, I can help you. That's okay. But it's better for us to be able to go, you know what? I can do it. I can do this.
Yes.
It's amazing of you to offer, but I think I can do this.
Yeah, that's good. You're taking your power back. And whether it's, you know what, I'm going to start, creating a safety plan. I think I'm going to get out of this. Or it's like, you know what, I'm getting ready to leave on the 2nd of next month. Okay. And now I'm ready to go to healing. Now I'm ready to seek a trauma therapist, a narcissistic abuse therapist. So you guys, Nova, I'm going to put her information up on the screen right now. All right. There we go. So you can she's amazing. She does lives all the time. Check her out. All right. She also does one-on-one counseling.
Yes, when I'm not doing the lives, I'm a professional counsellor here in Brisbane, Australia, but I Skype people, I counsel people in their narcissistic abuse recovery all over the world. In fact, I think my biggest base of clients is actually in the US. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. It's just a matter of sorting out the time difference. And I'm getting really good, I must admit, at working out the difference between Brisbane and Eastern Standard Time and Pacific Standard Time.
Because it's like 10 o'clock over there, or like 11 or something.
We started at 10. It's now 10 past 11 in the morning of Wednesday.
Right. And so we're Tuesday night over here. So Kelly, I love it. You've taken your power back. Nova, thank you so much. Everyone is saying it's been awesome. Yeah, definitely check her out. And that's her information on Facebook, Brighter Outlook Narcissistic Abuse Counseling Service.
Inbox me, guys, and
you can inbox her as well.
To support you one-on-one on your narcissistic abuse recovery. Lisa, thank you so much for having me. It was amazing.
Thanks so much for coming. I know, so good. We totally can go for another hour. So thank you for hanging out with us, you guys, and we'll see you later. See ya.
Bye, everyone. See you, Lisa. Bye.